What's the worst thing you've ever caught your partner hiding? I planned a perfect weekend for our 3-year anniversary. Just the two of us and no distractions. I booked a secluded cabin by a quiet lake, the one he'd pointed out months ago during a random scroll through listings saying, "This place feels like peace." So I saved up, planned everything, and left work early that Friday to surprise him by setting the whole thing up before he got there. I wanted candles, music, wine, and the works, something that made him feel seen. The drive was quiet, with long stretches of forest and not a single bar of signal for the last 20 minutes. And the cabin was even better in person, cozy and warm, surrounded by nothing but trees and stillness. I let myself in and unloaded groceries, wine, and the cake I'd picked up from his favorite bakery. And the place smelled faintly of cedar and something else I couldn't place. Sweet, but sharp. I assumed it was the old wood stove, or maybe some leftover air freshener from the last guests. I was heading to the bedroom to put the flowers by the nightstand when I noticed a journal on the bed. Black leather cover, clean edges, and gold embossed initials, his initials, and at first, I smiled that it maybe was some kind of anniversary gift, but when I picked it up, that feeling in my chest shifted. The first few pages were boring, grocery lists and gas receipts and a dream or two, but then it changed, and the writing got colder and more clinical. My name appeared, and then my schedule, and places I'd been, and people I'd talked to, and my passwords. Notes on my childhood, things I'd only mentioned once in passing, were there, along with pages labeled emotional triggers, family weak points, and isolation tactics, and I kept reading, and each page made me harder to breathe. There was an entry titled, Test Number 3, Observe Reaction to Manipulated Guilt, and another, Phase 4, Sever Ties with Sister Post-Anniversary, and underlined in red, Monitor for Memory Gaps After Wine. I was shaking, and this wasn't a journal. It was a dossier, a study on me. And it wasn't just me, because further in, there were tabs with other names, women's names, some I recognized and some I didn't, and each had its own section with timelines and photos and financial notes. And there was a note at the bottom of one page, Daniela, terminated. Subject became non-compliant. I dropped the journal. He wasn't supposed to be there for another hour, but I heard tires on gravel outside, and my heart slammed against my ribs. I didn't have time to hide it, so I slid the journal under the bed and sat on the edge and waited like nothing had happened. He walked in, all smiles, carrying a bouquet of daisies and a bottle of champagne. "Happy anniversary," he said, leaning in to kiss me, and I kissed him back, trying to breathe normally and trying to pretend the world hadn't just cracked in half. That night, I barely spoke, and I couldn't eat or sleep, and he kept asking if I was okay, but I blamed it on work stress. He rubbed my back and held me close and whispered that I was the best thing that had ever happened to him. When he finally fell asleep, I got up and turned the bathroom light on and locked the door and took photos of every page of that journal, and then I stuffed it in my overnight bag. We were supposed to stay for 2 nights, but I told him I wasn't feeling well and left early the next morning, claiming I had a migraine, and I didn't go home. I went straight to the nearest police station and handed them the journal. 2 weeks later, I got a call from the FBI, and they told me I'd done the right thing. He wasn't who he said he was, not even close, and his real name wasn't the one I knew, and he had changed it years ago after his last case was closed. He'd been involved in psychological manipulation rings and long-game cons, mostly targeted at women with specific profiles, and he studied us and mimicked what we wanted and drained our accounts, and in some cases, they couldn't even say what happened. They said I got lucky and that I left just in time, and they arrested him trying to board a flight to Prague using a fake passport. It's been 6 months, and I still flinch when my phone buzzes and still check my locks twice before going to bed. I deleted all my social media and moved cities and started therapy, and my friends try to talk to me about dating again and about putting myself out there. But I don't know how to explain the kind of damage this leaves behind. How do you trust someone after you've slept next to someone who is studying how to break you?